Good morning, everyone. Happy Tuesday. It's Trainer Tip Tuesday. Today I want to talk to you a little bit about plantar fasciitis and how I've been able to help keep mine in check fairly well. For those of you that don't know, a few years ago I was in a boot for a couple months because I had let pain in my foot go for far too long, to the point where they actually thought that I maybe had a stress fracture, but it wasn't healing. So that's how they kind of determined it was actually plantar fasciitis that I just ignored for a really, really long time. So what is plantar fasciitis? Basically, plantar is the bottom of your foot, and fascia is the tissue. It wraps our muscles and supports our muscles. You have fascia all over your body. Okay. So really, all plantar fasciitis means is that the connective tissue on the bottom of your foot is tight. This can be for a number of reasons, and if you're having pain, like severe pain in your foot, I suggest going to a doctor or going to a sports medicine place. How do you know it's plantar fasciitis? One of the biggest indicators is when you get out of bed in the morning, your first steps are excruciating because probably you've been sleeping with your toe pointed, and that just tightens everything up. And so you go to put pressure on your foot, and that fascia that doesn't necessarily, it's not real elastic, so you're not really going to get it a lot longer, but that fascia is really tight. So when those first steps in the morning are very painful. There are a number of exercises you can do. One of the things that I remember learning in a yoga class is you can flex your foot and then imagine you're trying to pick up a towel off the ground and then drop it. So pick the towel up with your toes, lift, and then drop. That will kind of help stretch that out a little bit. You can roll it on a frozen water bottle. Obviously the ice will help reduce inflammation, and rolling it on something hard is part of what's called myofascial release. And you can do that on various parts of your body, but today we're just talking about the foot. So, but something that I learned from physical therapy and in other areas of working through injuries, like my shoulder, is that oftentimes the place where it hurts the most is actually not where the problem is. So your body is a kinetic chain, meaning everything is connected. So if I have, for example, pain in my shoulder, it's not necessarily my shoulder. What I've learned for me is, and for a lot of people, is it's actually a weak back. So let's talk about your foot or your leg. The pain is going to go somewhere. The work that you're compensating for an injury or a tight spot or something is going to travel down your kinetic chain, and the last place it can land is in your foot. So for me, what I found out through physical therapy is that I have very tight calves. And if everything is connected from the bottom of my foot all the way up my calf, all the way up the back of my leg, up to my glutes, to my hip, if I have tight calves, that tightness is going to pull on the fascia of my foot. Does that make sense? I hope so. Because this honestly changed everything for me as it relates to plantar fasciitis. So what I do now is if I'm starting to feel pain in my foot, I roll out my calf. Sometimes I'll roll out my foot, but usually that doesn't help. But if I roll out my calf, if I get blood flowing better through my calf muscles, man, that releases the fascia of my foot. So you might be asking, well, how do you do that? I'm glad you asked. I have a lacrosse ball. If you have pain in your foot, this is an excellent tool. It's cheap too. You can even roll your foot on it. But so what I do to roll out my calf, you don't want to go right on your Achilles. So I'm going to roll from the side, the inside of my calf, and the outside. And we'll see if I can do this well on a video. Sorry if my face disappears. I'm going to go outside first. So I've placed it just below my knee. on the outside of my calf. And depending on how much pain you're in and how much pain you can tolerate, you can keep your foot on the floor. If you want to make it a little bit more pressure, cross your leg over, and then I just lift my body up, and I slowly, it's got to be slow. You can't go fast. You have to go real slow. And it hurts. And then you'll have to set yourself down and pull. I'm just pulling my body across the ball really slowly. I will find a spot, a hot spot, and hold it there for 10, 15, maybe 20 seconds. But you can see I'm barely moving. You have to go slow for it to release. It hurts. It shouldn't, shouldn't probably make you cry. But depending on how tight you are, it can be more and more painful. Okay, so I'm not going to continue going because that's really boring for you. But so that's the outside, and then I have to go inside. Same thing. I'm just going to drag my body across the ball, drag my calf across the ball to release that calf muscle. And depending, I'll do this on both legs. If I'm really sore, if I'm sore when I get up, I do this before I work out. There's the hot spot right there. So anyway, you can do that for a minute or so. Do it on both legs. If you have shoulder pain, you can use this against the wall. In your back, you can use a foam roller, which I have right here. On your hips, on your glutes, on your IT band, on your inner thigh, on your lower back. If you're doing any sort of myofascial release, though, because I did mention the back, I know I'm talking about plantar fasciitis, but if you want to try this on your back, do not roll on your spine. Don't roll on your spine. Roll to the side, okay? You don't need spine injuries because you're pushing right on your vertebrae. All right? So if you have any questions about plantar fasciitis or foam rolling or using a lacrosse ball, drop them in the comments, send me a direct message, whatever, and I'll see what I can do. Have a good day.